Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Writing Center presentation for March 2016. My name is Catherine, and I will be leading the presentation today. And if you have any questions during the presentation, let me make sure I can see here. Just type in the chat box, and I should be able to see your question. If I don't get to it right away, I will definitely get to it later. Let me make sure I mute everybody first of all, because otherwise we can hear you. Okay. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming today. And for those of you watching from home, thank you for watching. Today we're going to go over a few key things to remember about the Writing Center, what we're here for, what we can help you with. And we will also go over some study skills, basic writing techniques to get you started. So at the Writing Center, we've been working to provide online workshops for you. This open house is offered once a month along with an APA style workshop, which I believe is going to be held next week. Check back at the Writing Center's page and you'll be on Connect. That's what I'm trying to say. I got distracted by a comment in the chat box. Check back there if you're interested in the APA workshop to make sure that you can attend it. And hopefully a lot of your APA style questions will be answered then. I will cover a couple of resources on APA for you today in case you'd like to go ahead and explore some websites, but this is not an APA intensive workshop that we're doing today. We're in the process of creating a grammar workshop, and like I said, all of the workshops will be posted on Connect. So how can we help? We're going to talk today about the Writing Center. Some things might be new to you, some might be a review, and if you have any questions that I don't get to during the presentation, you can definitely ask me afterward, especially if you're kind of shy and are nervous about having your question repeated or answered on the air, so to speak. So the Writing Center provides a free writing consultation service for all Full Sail students from any degree program. So we can help with pretty much any part of the writing process, from essay writing to brainstorming, doing research, outlining, writing thesis statements, and issues with grammar. We can help you with your own proofreading and editing skills, but we aren't a proofreading service. We aren't going to go through and find every error in your paper and fix it for you. That's really not helpful to you as a student, and it's not really using this resource as well as it can be used. Instead, if we see patterns of issues, we will point those out to you and try to help you understand how to to help you understand what those issues are and how you can fix them yourself, so that we are empowering you to improve your own writing. We also help with APA style, like I mentioned before, creative writing concepts like script writing and writing short stories, ESL, English for speakers, English for non-native speakers, resumes and cover letters, and basically any other types of writing that you'll do here at Full Sail. The Writing Center is open from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. We do not hold weekend hours. All help is provided during appointments, and there are a few different types of appointments, and different types are offered at different times. First, on-campus appointments. These are available from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Monday through Friday in Building 4D. They are 1 hour long, like any writing center appointment. They're up to an hour long, and they must be requested 24 hours in advance. A lot of students prefer meeting in person because it can sometimes be easier to understand concepts if they're being explained to you by a real live human who is right there in front of you, which is great if you're able to do that, if you're able to come to campus and have that service. Most students choose online appointments, which are very convenient. These are available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And we use GoToMeeting just like we're using today. Well, today we're using GoToTraining, but it's almost the same thing as GoToMeeting. And they may be written in a chat, just like the people in this room today are writing chat messages to me and to the rest of the group. Or they might be verbal, meaning that you can hear what your consultant is telling you and you can talk back to them. We can't guarantee that your appointment will be verbal. It depends on where the consultant is working from. When we're in the office, we have some restrictions as to how loud we can be and what we might be able to provide. But we can always type. We can always use text to go back and forth. But we can't guarantee that an appointment will be held in a certain format. These appointments are also 1 hour long and must be requested 24 business hours in advance. And just so there's no confusion, when you are in a GoToMeeting session for your writing center appointment, you are the only one there other than the consultant. It's just the two of you. It's not a big group like we're doing today. Last, there are library open hours, and these are held twice a week. There are no appointments required. You can just walk on in, and it's first come, first serve. They might not work with you for a full hour. It depends on how many other students are looking to use the services, but this is especially helpful if you have a quick question that you don't think will take a whole lot of time. And we can definitely sit down with you and work with you on your papers. It is first come, first serve, however. So if you'd like to find out when we're in the library this month, just hop on Connect, go to the Writing Center's page, and get that information there. Sometimes the library hours switch up from month to month, depending on when our consultants are available. So how can you make a Writing Center appointment? There are a few different ways. First, you can call 407-679-0100, which is Full Sail's main number, extension 2340. Second, you can email writingcenter@fullsail.com. Email is recommended because we are often in the library or away from our desk at the office or helping students in a consultation, so we can't always grab the phone when it rings, and we might have to call you back if you make a phone call. However, we can answer email multiple times a day and easily get back to you if we have any follow-up questions or need to confirm an appointment. The other way that you can request an appointment is through the appointment request form on Connect. So I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. If I'm on Connect, and I go and I search for Writing Center and go to the Writing Center's page, I can go down here to appointment request form. Click that, and there will be a form that comes up, and you just fill it out and click submit, and we will see your request. Sorry, hang on. Getting all confused here. There we go. All right. So those are the ways that you can request an appointment. We also have other resources available to you on our Writing Center page on Connect, in case you haven't really explored it yet. We have a blog that is categorized by topic like APA, essay writing, creative writing, and our consultants actually write the articles that are on the blog. So it's definitely worth checking out. And there's also a part with helpful links, and these are also organized by category. You can find them under online resources. Now I'm going to give you a few tips that will hopefully help you write better right now. First of all, proofreading. When you proofread, you read over your assignment several times after you've written it in order to catch any mistakes with grammar, punctuation, or places in general where the writing could be stronger. Many students tell us that they actually have a pretty hard time catching their own mistakes. That is common. It is hard to catch our own mistakes because we know what we were trying to say. That's completely understandable. But there are a few ways that you can kind of trick your brain into seeing the work as if somebody else wrote it and getting some new insight into the material. So first, and this might sound counterintuitive, but you can take a break. If you stare at your writing for too long, your brain can skip over the mistakes. So after you've written something, take a break. Step away from it for a while. Go for a walk, make dinner, just get your mind off of what you've been doing. And when you come back to it, it'll be easier to identify your issues. Print it out. It's much easier to see your mistakes on the printed page than on the computer screen. Believe it or not, your brain reads and understands words differently from the computer screen and a piece of paper. It actually processes language differently. So it's worth printing out your work. Read it out loud. Once you've printed it out, read it out loud. Another strategy is to ask somebody to read it out loud to you while you read it silently. I have a friend who wrote a book recently, and she asked people to come to her house and read the manuscript to her while she read along. And then she would stop us and make changes right then and there. And it was a process, definitely, but it really helped us catch issues with the book. It can be easier to hear the mistakes than it can be to see them on the page. Sometimes when we read things out loud, we can just hear, oh, something about that just doesn't sound right. Maybe there's a verb tense shift, or we can actually notice spelling errors easier when we read out loud. So it's definitely worth doing. And read it backwards. This really tricks your brain. So what this means is starting with the last sentence, reading that last sentence, then reading the second to last sentence, then reading the sentence before that. It takes a while. It does. But it really does get your brain to see the work differently. And last, check for specific errors. What I mean by this is you want to look for one thing at a time. So if you realize that passive voice is an issue for you, look only for passive voice phrases as you go through your paper 1 or 2 times. Once you have resolved that, go on to the next issue. Maybe it's spelling for you. All right, read it out loud. See if there's anything that you catch that could be spelled wrong, and then move on to a third pass at the paper, this time looking at verb tenses, for example. So take your time, look for specific issues each time you go through your paper. All right, and now some paper writing strategies, because we've all got to write papers here at Full Sail. The first step is to make a plan. Have you ever sat down to write a paper and then you just stare at the computer screen, at your cursor there? You type a sentence, you delete it, you weren't sure what to write. and then you just get frustrated. Well, we want to try to avoid that by creating a plan. You can free write, which means just set a timer for 3 minutes and just write anything that comes into your head related to the topic. Just go. And then you can sort through it later. You can make a web where you start with a word in the middle of your page, circle it, draw a line to another word, circle that. And it kind of looks like a spider web when you're done with it. It helps you categorize your topics. That's all part of pre-writing. So when we talk about making a plan, we're really talking not only about pre-writing, but about the entire process of writing a paper. And there are 5 stages of the writing process. So first is pre-writing. Then we move on to eventually publishing or turning in our work. So as you pre-write, make sure that you understand the assignment. This is key. In order to do that, you need to read the assignment thoroughly when you first receive it, read through the instructions several times to make sure you understand, and ask your instructor any questions you have. There are no stupid questions, right? Your instructor is there to help you out. Now, consider what you need to do before you start writing. Is there any reading that you need to do? Do you need to make a trip to the library or go on to the library's resources here at Full Sail online? What do you need to do to prepare to write your paper? And then think about how much time each task is going to take. You can make a list of everything you need to do and check it off as you go. And you can actually, in your list, write down how long you think each task is going to take you. It's okay if it takes a little bit longer than you expect, but if you have an estimate, that can help you meter out your time. So once you understand the goal of the assignment, think about the way the assignment is going to be presented. Is it a research paper? Is it a bibliography? Is it an argument that you need to support with outside sources? There are also opinion papers, critiques, and compare and contrast papers, just to name a few. So then you want to brainstorm. Take some time to think about your topic. Does the assignment instruction ask specific questions about your topic? Brainstorm answers to those questions. When you think about your topic, what ideas come to mind? Jot down as many as you can, again, like setting a timer, and don't judge the ideas. You can go through them and sort them out later. Then, once you've done some free writing or webbing or other brainstorming, it's time to look at the ideas you've come up with, scratch out ones that just don't seem right for this paper, and add more to make sure that you're fulfilling all of the guidelines of the assignment. Then we move on to the next step, which is performing research. You might be given specific guidelines for research, or you might have a more open-ended approach to your assignment. Sometimes you can't write a full outline until you've completed some research so that you understand more of what your topic is about. Even if it's a topic that seems familiar to you already, there's usually more you can learn about it. The goal is to find outside sources that help support the main ideas you came up with during your brainstorming session. And the library has online databases you can use from home or from campus. So let me show you that. If we go to the library's site on Connect, we can go down to Research Databases and check them out. Oh, I would need to log in. I thought I was logged in. But these are all the research databases. You just log in using your Full Sail account, and then you can use keywords to search for what you need. The next step is outlining. which I mentioned just a moment ago. Your outline doesn't need to look like this, but if this is the type of thing that makes perfect sense to you, by all means go for it. This particular example is a bit overwhelming to me. I prefer a straightforward traditional outline, but do what works best for you. Think about how you're going to approach the paper and what it's going to look like from the top down. So, what will you talk about in your first paragraph? What are you going to talk about next? What is in your thesis statement, which is kind of the nucleus of your essay? How are you going to restate ideas and suggest something new in your conclusion? So, organize your ideas and write an outline. It doesn't have to be fancy, and you can always change things around later. It's like a map that you follow when you sit down to write. And that's the most important thing, that you have that plan. Then it's time to draft. When you draft, you're preparing for what people are actually going to read of your work. However, nobody has to see that very first draft. You can make it as rough as you need to, and then clean it up before you post to a discussion board or turn in an assignment for your teacher or classmates to read. Also, make sure as you write that you are considering your audience. Now, an audience for a paper or another piece of writing is the person or group of people who will be reading it. These are the people that you're trying to convince, inspire, motivate, or sympathize with. So you might think that your instructor is the audience for your paper because they're the ones who are going to be reading and grading it. But depending on the assignment, you might have to imagine a different audience for it. So if you're writing a paper about a problem in your industry and presenting a possible solution, the audience might be professionals in your industry. So you would use word choices and strategies in your paper that would affect people in the industry. When you're considering who your audience is, ask yourself some questions. Who do you think makes up your audience? Do you have more than one audience? Are you trying to reach multiple groups of people? What is most important to your audience? What are they likely to care about that you can bring into your paper? What are they least likely to care about that you will either need to educate them about or that you might want to leave out of your paper? Do you have something to say that might surprise them? And what do you want your audience to think, learn, or assume about you and your writing? Tone, thinking about how you're addressing your audience is an important consideration to make. For example, if you write an email to your boss, that might look different from a text to your best friend. When you're writing for class, remember that the language used in academic and business writing is more formal, even usually in discussion posts, than what you might use in everyday conversation. Next, write concisely. This means using words that pack a punch. We want to use few words, and we want those words to really be meaningful. Get right to the point when you're writing sentences and paragraphs, and eliminate extra words such as really, great, very, words that don't really add I just used really. Hey, you caught me. Words that don't add much to your sentences. Use verbs that are very strong. Use metaphors. Don't go crazy, but make every word count. If there are too many ideas in one sentence, remember one sentence should usually convey one idea. Then you might have a run on sentence, so watch out for those. And also, try not to cram too many ideas into one paragraph. We want everything to be organized and neat. Each paragraph should introduce a new idea, and the sentences in that paragraph should support that idea. Each paragraph should also go back to your thesis. What is the point of this paper? What are you trying to argue? The thesis usually appears first in the introductory paragraph, and then you would refer back to it later and repeat it usually in the conclusion. So once you've finished writing your paper and drafting it a couple of times, you want to revise. Students often confuse revision with editing, which we'll talk about next. When we revise, we're looking at large aspects of the paper that may need to be changed. These are called global issues. So is the overall argument or thesis statement valid? Does it even make sense? Is there a logical flow of ideas? Is there a solid structure? Does the research back up your ideas effectively? How are your transitions in the paper as you go from one idea to the next or from one paragraph to the next? Do you need to add signposts or transitions such as another way to reach your audience? Something that leads into the next idea. Do any ideas seem out of place? Does anything seem like it just shouldn't be in the paper at all? And does anything need to be expanded upon? So once you've finished your global revisions, it's time to edit. And this is when we're talking about local issues. So global is big, local is small. So here is where you want to proofread. You're looking for issues with grammar, spelling, punctuation, sentence structure, word choice, etc. Then you want to publish. This is when you turn your paper in. So it takes quite a while to get through all of those steps. But if you do so in an organized way and you take your time, then you will probably end up with a more polished piece in the end. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is APA formatting. APA is the official citation style for Full Sail, and every class at Full Sail usually has at least one assignment that requires research from the library databases. So if you haven't run into APA formatting yet, it's likely that you will soon. Now, it can be intimidating because there are lots of rules to APA, but you don't have to memorize all the rules. You just need to know where to go to find examples. So we really like two resources: the Online Writing Lab at Purdue, or the OWL at Purdue as it's known, and projectapa.info. So during a Writing Center appointment, we can help you navigate through these sources and show you what they look like. This is the Online Writing Lab at Purdue. All of your types of information are here on the left. And then the other one is projectapa.info. This was actually created by Full Sail instructors. It's on the web for anybody to look at, but it's especially helpful for Full Sail students. So it's really easy to navigate, and it gives you one example for each type of citation so that you don't get bogged down by too many examples. All right, back to the presentation. Now I'm opening up the floor for questions. I haven't seen any come into the chat box as I've been talking, but please ask questions if you have them. I can answer questions about the Writing Center or about writing in general, APA formatting, though there will be a workshop on APA formatting next week, I believe, resumes or creative writing. And if I don't know the answer, we can look it up together, or we can set you up with a Writing Center appointment. If you have no questions, then this pretty much concludes the presentation, so you are free to go on your way. Thank you so much to those of you who are able to come today. Thank you to those who are watching from home. I really hope that this presentation has been helpful to you, and I hope that you'll utilize the Writing Center as a resource in the future. Thank you.